Hello, this is Away from Voivod, and you're watching The Age of Metal.
All right. Hey, everybody. This is Stephanie here with the Age of Metal. I'm here right now with Misha of Voivod. So how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
Great. So would you want to talk about the tour that you're on right now?
Well, we're actually just starting. We played yesterday in Miami. It was amazing, and it's quite intense trek coming up. 31 shows in 33 days, and it's going to be absolutely great, I'm sure.
Right. Nice. Is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to on this tour?
Well, we didn't tour USA that much last couple of years, so there are many cities that I'm eager to get to because we have many friends, and so it's really exciting. But we intend to come to USA a little more next couple of years.
So I know that before the interview, we were talking a little bit about the touring that you're going to be doing for the rest of the year. Would you want to share that with us?
After this tour, we're gonna record some new songs and then hit the European festivals for the summer. And then after that, we record more songs because we intend to release a bunch of 7-inch vinyls this year.
Right, and that's actually what I wanted to talk about next because you guys just released it, We Are Connected, which is a great song. I know it had a lot of great feedback. So talk about the 7-inch records.
It's Century Media, our label, offered us to do a split 7-inch with At the Gates. And we had one song in the works, and we jumped on the occasion and went into a studio out in the woods in the snow, and it came out yesterday. And the reaction is really, really good.
Nice. I personally really like it a lot, but I know that when we were talking about your new music, that you guys have progressed so much with your sound, went from, very thrash band, but still keeping those elements, but incorporating a lot more. So how do you personally feel that you're different now than you were when you first started?
It's not really that different. Let's say the new song, it's thrash metal meets punk meets psychedelia and progressive rock and a lot of the alternative music from the 80s like Killing Joke and Bauhaus as well, and it's all a mixture of that. And so it's just that the first couple of albums were more Venom Motorhead oriented, and but as we moved along we integrated a lot of different elements, and it's still there today. So it's hard for me to judge, but to me, it just sounds like Voivod, the new song.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel that you have, because I know you mentioned a very vast variety of bands like Venom to Bauhaus. Are these have these always been bands that you've listened to, or did you just incorporate some new interests along the way?
I would say that like around maybe 81, 82. I started to listen to more industrial or alternative music. At first, it was mainly like let's say in metal and hardcore, Discharge, and soon enough I was listening to other stuff that was more obscure and as obscure and but very intriguing stuff, we really got into it. But before that, when we grew up in the 70s, we listened to a lot of krautrock and Faust Can and progressive rock, Van der Graaf Generator, King Crimson. And so we already had these elements when we wrote our first album, War and Pain. It was like Black Sabbath meets King Crimson and hardcore and Venom.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. And I know that you mentioned, obviously Voivod has been around, and you mentioned that you have, been into music at an early age. Is there anything in particular that keeps you continuing to play music?
Well, me, I was in the band the whole way through 32 years now, and the thing that keeps me going is the traveling part, and also um, the people in Two Voivod are really loyal, and they followed us for the past 30 years, and it's really cool to meet them again and again, because they show up at the shows, and they buy the albums, and it's great. And every time I think about giving up for one reason or another, I always think, oh, these guys have been supporting me for like so long. They deserve a new album, or
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
a great way to think about that. Yeah. And this is the last question. Do you have a message for the fans or anything?
well, again, we had a couple of rough years with Snake being taken ill in 2013, and now it's fully recovered. And in the last year, we lost our bass player Blackie. We had to part ways, and so it was a bit slow. But now there'll be like a barrage of 7-inch and shows.
Nice. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. And that was Voivod. And like what was said in the interview, they have a lot of great things going for them. They're doing a lot of great touring. They have the 7-inch singles coming out, so keep up on that and stay metal.
Hi everybody, I'm Oliver Hines, aka Diamondos from MetalUnderground.com. I'm very happy indeed to say that we're here with Michel, aka Away from Voivod.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank
Good,
you.
good, good. Straight into it, you're promoting a new EP, Post Society.
Yeah.
Why did you do an EP rather than doing a full album this time?
There was a lot of touring the last couple of years, and even though we were able to ride in the bus, it was hard to record between tours, so we decided to do a bunch of split 7-inches with At the Gates, Napalm Death, and Toon Baby, and so it's sort of a combination of 3 singles plus 2 new tracks, 2 new tracks with Post Society and a cover of Hawkwind Silver Machine.
Yeah, I was
Well,
going to ask you about that. Was that like your own personal tribute to Lemmy?
Exactly. When we were doing the recording the remaining tracks for the EP, there were lots of cancellation of shows on the Motorhead 40th anniversary tour.
Yeah.
And we thought it's time to pay homage to Lemmy, and Snake and I were very familiar with the Hawkwind song, but Chewie and Rocky were not. So we looked it up on YouTube, and we winged it.
Yeah, great. So are there plans in place to record a full length?
Yes, next year there'll be a full album, concept album actually.
Okay.
But we have no dates for recording sessions right now. We're gonna spend the winter writing some new material and rehearsing a lot, and so we were supposed to deliver an album by the end of this year, but since Death Crusher, we must have played about 175 shows, and it's really hard. So we told Symphony Media that we'll have a new album for sure ready for next year, though.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I look forward to that. Cause was it 3 years ago Target Earth came out there?
It was in 2013, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first one you've done for a while that didn't have, well, the first one you've done that didn't have Picky's guitars on it.
Yes, exactly. It was the first LP since 2009 when we did finished Infinity with Jason Houston, and so it's unfortunate because when the album came out, Snake was taken ill. He had to get an operation, and then he came back, and then we lost Blackie with personal problems and all that. So everything was sort of very slow, and once we got Rocky in 2014, it started to be full throttle again.
Oh, that's good. So how's Rocky settling in since he joined?
I think it was a perfect match from the start because like Snake is my childhood friend and Rocky is Chewie's childhood friend, so it's a very good team. Plus their first show when they were 13 was Voivod, and they were together and all that, and now they're playing in Voivod, so it's really amazing.
Seems to be kind of a pattern developing is that fans of Voivod end up I remember hearing that Jason, you said always wanted to do a band like Voivod.
Yeah.
And obviously,
I know that Jason admired Voivod a lot when he was in Flotsam and Jetsam, and so when he joined Metallica, he kept promoting the band by wearing the shirts in front of thousands of people, and so it's been he drew a lot of attention to the band, mainly when he joined the band, of course.
One thing, speaking about Voivod from the start, is obviously you've always used pseudonyms, you've always used monikers, different names.
Yeah.
What was the reasoning behind that?
Well, without because we have French names, Michel, Langevin, Denis Bélanger, Jean-Yves Thériault, Denis D'Amour back then, and so we thought it'd be much easier if we had like a nickname, sort of a mixture of, let's say, the Ramones and Venom, and so something catchy that sort of reflected the personality of everybody, and so it turned out to be a good move, even though it was meant to be a bit silly and funny. It's sketchy, you know.
So in that regard, how does Away reflect your personality?
It's a mixture of things, my concepts and drawings, but also because when we were in 1984, when we were writing War and Pain, sometimes I wouldn't show up at rehearsals because I was in science at the university, and I had a lot of homework, and I couldn't like really do both to 100%, you know, and they called me away a bit because of that. Eventually, War and Pain came out, and it had a bit of an impact in the thrash metal scene, and that's where we all dropped out, basically.
That's good stuff. Obviously, you've been going for quite a long time now. How has the Canadian metal scene changed, specifically in Quebec, since you started?
There are a lot of bands now. We share stages at festivals with friends from Montreal all the time. Cryptopsy, Gorgot, Despise Icon, Cataclysm, and it's really exciting. Most of them are very technical.
Yeah.
It's sort of the Quebec sound in a way. And but when we started, there was only like Anvil and Exciter, basically, and Rush, of course. They were more like precursors of metal. But since then, we've opened lots of doors, and it started slowly with Damnation, Aggression, Dead Brain Cells, and in the 90s, we saw bands from Montreal everywhere on Earth. And it was great, and it's still like the case right now.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us.
Very welcome.
I look forward to the show.
Cheers.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Bienvenue.
So this is Total Rock TV, and I am chatting to Voivod. How are you guys doing today?
We're great, yeah. Oh yeah, cool festival.
No, definitely.
Yeah, very nice settings and everything. Yeah.
You guys have got a cool slot tonight. You're like the headliners of the third stage, and you know, so you're going to be basically one of the last bands that these people see this weekend. So what are you going to leave them with?
Well, I mean, hopefully they're going to enjoy all the old classics. We play a lot of old stuff, but we also play stuff from the new album Target Earth, and also the new single We Are Connected. So plenty of material. We have 75 minutes, so it's a lot of stuff.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time to do some stuff, you know.
A good song list. You know, we experiment different shows lately in Paris. Berlin was insane. London was great too. Great reviews everywhere. So I think we're gonna enjoy ourselves.
I saw your photos from Berlin of you lot all on bikes.
Yeah.
Like you had a good time.
Oh yeah, that was amazing actually, and I would like to do that again. It was my second time renting a bike in Berlin. I love it.
No way, no. It looked really cool. No, you had a good time.
Yeah.
And you know, like you've got such an amazing back catalogue of stuff to choose from. Like you guys, you've gone through so many different phases, be influenced by so many different people. But I kind of want to know where you guys are now as a band, you know?
Oh, you
Sorry,
mean
tough
you mean
question.
you mean like what kind of new bands we like or?
No, I mean just kind of, you know, you've had so many different styles of music. You
Okay.
brought so much stuff into it throughout the years, and I just wondered where you guys feel like now as artists with your style.
Oh,
your, you
okay.
know.
Well, the thing is, like, it's not the same writing because Piggy's no longer with us. So basically, the writing of the music is made by mostly Chewy and Rocky, which is they put riffs together. But they've been Voivod fans all their lives. So I think what they create is like what the Voivod fans wants to hear. And so it's like a kind of perpetual movement that keeps on turning. And so the stuff that we write right now kind of like reminds me of stuff that we did in the past, you know, in a different way, but it sounds really like Voivod. It sounds really like Piggy would have write it, you know.
It's great because both Chewy and Rocky, the two new guys, they love every period of Voivod, so it's really represented in the new single We Are Connected, and also we just out of the studio. We hope to have another 7-inch out, hopefully a split with Napalm Death, and it's kind of like all the periods of Voivod in one song. A bit more prog rock than a lot of the material we've done in the past few years, yeah. So it's thrash metal mixed with punk, mixed with progressive rock, I guess.
That sounds like all the best sorts of things in one, you know, encapsulated in one sort of music. And yeah, I mean, Real Connected's gone down really well, and obviously, it's, you know, with At the Gates, it's wicked, man. I mean, how have you found the response?
Oh, it's sold out immediately. Luckily, they were able to save 10 copies for us.
Yeah. Hey.
And, but yeah, the response when it appeared on YouTube and Spotify, and the response was amazing. And also live, it gets through very well. With it's like seamless with the other material, I find. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
What about yourself? Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm really happy, and you know, the last song. We're looking for a title, by the way. But yeah, it's kind of the same vein but different, and I'm always amazed that we always come up with something different, something like it's almost catchy in some parts. You know, it's like
I think it's pretty catchy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I think it's a wicked track, and I think, you know, obviously, what you've chosen to do is release a bunch of like 7-inches for your new album next year, and I just wondered why you decided to do that. Why, you know?
It's an experiment, and it turned out it's pretty helpful. I mean, since it's only one song, we really work on it so it's perfect. And then if you write a whole bunch of songs, some of them might be a little weak, but you don't really realize it. This song by song is an interesting process. It's also it's a new start for us. We wanted to go with baby steps with Rocky, and but now we're very, very confident that we can write a full album over the winter. Yeah.
and it gives the opportunity to kind of like, you know, you record one song and then you go back home and listen to it. You know, you can sort of be like have a distance from it for a while, and then if you have to change little things to make it more perfect, because it's a different way than going to the studio, do a bunch of songs and then okay, it's done.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
you have to live with it now. So it's a new process for us, but I kind of like it, and gives good results. So.
It's cool, you know, like, and I think when you have someone that's a major writing influence and leave a band, you know, you've got to think of ways around that. But if he's been like, I think it's the best. I think before like a music artist, you're a fan, aren't you? So I think it's great to have someone in that's so like that loves your music so much. I think, and I'm guessing he's brought his own style to things as well, you know.
Also, yeah, you're talking about Rocky, right? Yeah, he doesn't try to emulate Blackie, and it's. I think it's good. He have his own tone, his own way of playing, very surgical, like Chewy. So it makes me play really tight, you know, and yeah, he's fully adapted. It's like he's always been in the band. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's funny to watch live too. You know, people really seems to kind of like the guy. You know.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah. But right now the vibe is so cool because we're having so much fun on stage. I think the chemistry of the four of us is really unique and so exciting. You know, we enjoy playing. We're having fun on stage, and it shows. You know, and people react to it and get into the party. You know, it's like music, and we give everything we can. You know. We push it hard.
No, totally. Like, you know, and I think if you're having fun, the fans are going to be having fun as well.
Oh yeah, it's very contagious, and we smile, they smile, and it's really cool. We're absolutely. I mean, what we want, the message we want to put across is serious, but we're absolutely not serious on stage at all. It's just rock and roll, you know. Yeah.
I know that one of your splits that you've chosen to do, you've chosen to work with Napalm Death. I wondered why you chose those guys and like what you're hoping to bring like with the split.
Oh, it's just that we just toured with them in North America, and it was amazing. And we shared the bus, and we wrote a bit of the song in the bus, in the back of the bus. So we also want to come back in October with Napalm in Europe, and so it's all coordinated. Hopefully, we're gonna meet all deadlines. It's gonna work perfectly. Yeah.
Hopefully, you know, we'll have a new record by somewhere next year, beginning of next year. Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Can you give us any previews or ideas that you guys have that you're toying around with at the moment for the new record?
Well, it's kind of vague right now. As we go one song after another, you know, I think it's actually developing itself on its way. So it's hard to say how it's going to be like at the end. But you know, it's Voivod. The main thing is that, I think.
I think it's to me it reminds me of the period of Angel Rat and Outer Limits, where it's kind of catchy, but with a lot of energy. That's pretty much what's going on, I think. Yeah.
No, that sounds good. It sounds. I think it'll be cool to see like how it all like turns out. I mean, I know it's gonna be awesome, but I think it'll be cool just to see, you know, when you with the new influences in it and stuff. I think it'll be good, man.
Yeah.
And finally, I guess I just want to ask, what's the plan for you for the rest of the years? Are you doing any English festivals over the summer? Or?
Oh no, we have a festival or two to do in Quebec, but in the fall there will be a full-on tour of Europe for sure. But no festivals in Europe in the summer for us, but next year for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna do some writing during the summer.
Recording in the winter. Yeah. Because it's better to be inside in the winter in Montreal.
Totally. I agree. No, that's awesome, guys. That's all I need to know.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Away from Voivod, and you're watching Agoraphobic News.
Hey, Michel here of Agoraphobic News, sitting with Mr. Away of Voivod. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, you?
I'm great, thanks. First time here, so.
Are you super excited about it?
Yeah, we're very excited, especially that it's sold out. So, actually, this tour has been sold out so far, so we're very happy.
Yeah, that's cool to know.
Yeah, it's good for us.
And you know, there's like a historical region of Serbia which is called Vojvodina.
Yeah, and also. Here it's a duke, I think, a voivod. Yeah.
That's the title. I mean, like a general or a leader or whatever.
In many eastern countries, in Europe, there are voivods, either generals or chief of police, or a high-rank politician, depending on the country. It's great. But I picked it up in the book Dracula. So yeah. So tomorrow we go to Romania to play for the first time. We're very excited to. We want to go to the Dracula's castle.
Can you explain the concept of Voivod? Because it's connected with Dracula and nuclear vampire, whatever.
Well, it's I would say a mixture of like Dracula, Lord of the Rings, and fear of nuclear war from the Cold War era. And so it's like a nuclear vampire. And I created that to be a comic book artist when I was a kid. I created the concept because I was a fan of the magazine called Heavy Metal. So Philippe Drouillet, Moebius, they were my heroes, and I wanted to do something like that. So I created a world called Morgoth, where the Voivod was protecting the planet against invaders, and there were many planets with many voivods spread out through galaxies, and so that was the main concept. And when we formed the band, I explained that to the guys, and they agreed to put it into music, which is great. It's what we did for all the 80s period. Yeah.
And how come did he defend the world with nuclear stuff?
Well, not only nuclear stuff. It's a defensive move, but also sometimes offensive, but with high-tech weaponry, and the technology on the albums was improving, like in the real world, you know. And it's I must say that Voivod is not a hero in the sense that. On some albums like Roar, Korgul is a mutation of Voivod. He pretty much represents the oppressor, or
dark side.
Is like some in a way some sort of dictator, you know. And so it's not a hero, and it's just a way for us to express our point of view about this planet. So we are definitely not. Trying to promote war or anything like that. It's definitely a message that comes from what we were listening to back then, hardcore music and conflict and discharge. And yeah.
And do you think this Voivod is a product of Cold War paranoia? Maybe in some way.
Yes, of course. I'm not saying that it's nostalgic or what I mean is I mean. We are definitely a product of Cold War, and in the 90s I was talking about nuclear weapons, and people were telling me it's so passé, and you know.
I mean, they're still around. I mean, it's stupid.
Exactly. So people might use them. So now it sounds maybe less like a product of Cold War nowadays. Now that nuclear weapons are back into the front line, you know. Yeah.
And when you look now, when you take a look at the 80s, was it scarier then or now in terms of nuclear weaponry? And
well, I think it's scarier now, because of nanotechnology. It's easier to have very long-range missiles, and so. I find that it's totally out of control. Yeah.
Was this nuclear scare present back in Canada in the 80s, or you just want?
Yeah, it was present everywhere. There are lots of stockpiles of nuclear weapons in USA. They are our closest neighbors. So yeah, I was always scared of that.
And what about the nuclear waste in Montreal? Was there any power plants around that?
There was only one in the province of Quebec, and it was shut down a long, long time ago.
Do you know the year, maybe, or?
I think it didn't last long. People protested, and in the early 70s, I think it only lasted a couple of years. And but because in Quebec we have tons and tons of water, so it's all electricity from dams, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, and are you guys pro-environmental in a way?
Most of the Voivod concept is anti-pollution and all that, and it comes from probably comes from Rush actually, and they had like a lot of environmental messages through their sci-fi tales, and it really influenced me.
And of course, early distant warning, you know.
And even like I think they have a song called Trees or something, and it's very much about that. And I think the perfect natural science or perfect I think it's called natural science maybe. There's a song on the album Permanent Waves, the last one. It's very Voivodian, but it's because it influenced me. Yeah.
And how did the Canadian metal scene look like back in the 80s?
Well, it was mainly speed metal, Razor, Exciter, Anvil. So I think we were pretty much the first ones to play thrash metal in Canada. But then soon after us, there were tons of bands, DBC and Damnation, Aggression, so Sacrifice, great band, yeah. And so there was no thrash metal when we started. It's just we had hardcore roots as much as new wave or British heavy metal, so that's how we became thrash metal. Really.
And can you imagine thrash metal without Chernobyl explosion? I mean, in the 80s.
Yes, because we did it a little before Chernobyl. Metallica did it, and Iron Maiden.
Exodus.
Yeah, Exodus. Yeah, Iron Maiden. We didn't call them thrash metal. We called them heavy metal. But thrash metal was to us was more the Bay Area and in like Exodus and Metallica and but also in Europe, Destruction, Creator, yeah, and Celtic Frost, and so that was a little before Chernobyl. Chernobyl was sort of the peak. Chernobyl and the Challenger explosion and Reagan's Star Wars project, yeah, these were like the peak of the fear of weapons for me. Yeah, and of course, not to say that nuclear plants are weapons, but it can become very disastrous if it explodes. You know. Yeah.
And there's a song called "Overreaction" on Killing Technology album, and it has a reference China's syndrome. So is it about that nuclear power plant accident in 1979 or?
Well, it's actually about Chernobyl, but I did see the movie before China Syndrome, which I loved, with Jane Fonda, I think. Yeah. It's a great movie. Yeah.
And are there some movies that inspired the whole Voivod thing?
Yes, there was a movie called The Day After.
It's scary.
It's really realistic in my view, and there were also movies like Blade Runner, Alien, Eraserhead, Mad Max, Pink Floyd, The Wall. Many movies inspired me art-wise and inspired the Voivod concept.
I realized in 2000s Voivod's lyrics are more about oil corporations and wars. And there's a song called "Strange and Ironic," which was released in 2006, I think. So, how do you feel about all this stuff going on around the world?
It's really sad because it's such a recurring nightmare, and I'm less involved in writing the content of the material now. Snake is taking care of the lyrics. I believe that part of the reasons why he left the band in '94 was that he couldn't really talk about what he really wanted to, because had always had concepts and all that. And so when he came back into the band in 2008, he actually came back before that. We came back when we reformed with Jason, actually. And then we stopped again, and when Piggy passed, and then came back again in 2008, and so on. But I was less inclined to dictate what should be talked about in the songs, and so it's his lyrics, and we do throw ideas at him all the time, though, all together. Snake might be a little less sci-fi than me in his approach to lyrics. Maybe more street punk. So it's probably more direct. Yeah, but I mean, he always. It will always be a little bit sci-fi, but it's a bit different. Yeah.
Can you tell us something about your art book? I mean, I just saw it.
Oh well, it came out a while back in English in 2009, and it starts in '76 maybe, or the book, and ends in around 2008-9, and just when before we reformed, I think, and now there is a German version. There'll be an Italian and French version eventually. It's a limited edition, so once it's out of print, I'm working on 2 other books. So yeah.
But the problem is, I saw a German one, and it's too bad. I would have to translate everything.
Understand. I don't have English copies in Europe, unfortunately. I still have about 500 copies in Chicago in a warehouse.
And they're in English.
It's this is available through the official Voivod merch, Hi-Fi Entertainment, but in Europe there's only the German copy available on tour.
Too bad. And what is like your favorite artwork that you've done while being in Voivod?
Oh, probably the one I'm the most proud of is the War and Pain cover, because it's my first painting. I only did 4 paintings, and that's it. And that's after that I jumped to digital art. But my real achievement is the first Voivod album cover, War and Pain.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there's this Negatron album cover with that ant. Was that inspired by the movie Them from 1954, maybe? You know, these giant ants?
No, it was actually a tribute to the first drawing I did when I was like 4 or 5. It was Atom Ant. Do you know Atom Ant? It's the first drawing I did. And it was my tribute to the Atom Ant in a way.
And what did the Angel Rat album mean to you? Because it's completely different, and it's not part of these 5 chapters, you know.
No, we had a meeting after Nothing Face where we tried to figure a way not to repeat ourselves, and even though the company was waiting for Nothing Face Part 2, we wanted to do something totally different. That's why we hired Terry Brown. They had a different approach to our music and the lyrics as well. Yeah, so it was an experience. Not that many people liked it, but now now it has become some people's favorite, Angel Rat.
And what about the Outer Space album? That's what, Outer Limits, yeah.
It's the same deal where it's a continuation into the psychedelic side of Voivod, and I think we even went further with Outer Limits into psychedelia, and eventually we missed the hardcore roots, and that's why we did Negatron after.
And who is Jack Luminous?
Jack Luminous, it's the story of it's President XD and Jack Luminous are enemies, and President XD is sort of like a hologram that is a perfect representation of what should be perfect. And so people follow him, but he's the evil one.
It's a hologram.
And is an holographic dictator, sort of. And Jack Luminous is like a monster, so everybody's scared of him, so they don't listen to him. But he's the one saying, don't listen to this guy.
It's like Elephant Man, maybe. I mean,
it's exactly the case. And so it's sort of like President XD is hypnotizing people through electronic devices like TV.
Like nowadays.
Nowadays it would be a cell phone or a pad, you know. And so people are just like brainwashed, basically.
And do you think that you guys predicted the future in some of your lyrics? Was that the case?
A lot of it was based on scientific magazines like Discover and Omni magazine, and they were trying to predict the future. So it's kind of normal that 20, 25 years after the fact, some of the events happened, even like the huge particle accelerator exists in Switzerland now. Yeah. And that's what we were talking about on Dimension Hatteras. And so it's since we were influenced by science, it's kind of normal that it came to happen.
And music-wise, what did Outer Limits mean to you? I mean, was it like one? I think that's one of the greatest Voivod albums.
I don't know. I'm proud of every album. So this one is more of a studio experience, really. In LA at Record Plant, and we spent a lot of money because MC had a lot of money to spend on us. So some people thought it was overproduced because we really went all out to make it sound amazing. Yeah.
Now let's get back to the present. What is the idea behind post-society, lyric-wise?
It's pretty much, it's kind of useless now to try to speak about sci-fi. You just need to speak about what's going on right now, and it is sci-fi, so it's very much about what's going on right now. Again, Snake is more down to earth than I am, except that for the next album we're trying to be more exploratory lyric-wise. But Post Society is very representative of the world we live in right now.
Do you have any last words for the fans here in Serbia?
Yeah, and I mean, we're so glad we are finally here. And also want to thank the fans from all around the world for being so loyal and supportive for 34 years now. It's really the reason why we keep going.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks a lot.
All right, this is Jimmy Cabs here at the Whiskey A Go Go 5150 interview series, Bulldozer Magazine, and the very Manic Jimmy Cabs show. Here, indeed, very humbled and privileged to be here with the one and only and the iconic Snake of Voivod.
Hello there.
1983, early 84, I believe I received a demo from a tape trader friend, which is a long story. Look it up, kids. Tape trading. And it was the Voivod demo, and then War and Pain came back after, I believe a couple months after that. And what a tremendous record that record was. It had such an impact, such a groundbreaking effect under the subculture metal culture, and then above that. Here we are almost 30 years later.
33, I think. Yeah.
How mind-blowing is that? Here we are over 30 years, and not only are we here on Earth, but you are still creating groundbreaking music. My question to you, number one, is how do you do that? And I mean that respectfully. My back hurts just doing this interview. My feet hurt.
I don't know. I think it's from, when we started up the band, we were kind of far out in the woods, and we've never been influenced too much by other things. Then, it was hard for us to kind of go out there, and if we'd have been from LA or New York or something like that, maybe it would have been different. And so I guess it's because we're maybe far out there, French Canadian, living in isolated place, and also I think the musical knowledge of Piggy was kind of like really amazing back in the days, because we were just kids, and he was a little bit older than us, and he had like different influences from prog music, so we were kind of like following him. He was our maestro sort of thing, and mentor, exactly. And so I think we were all excited by this new metal thing, that we're catching the wave of metal, but he also he brought the thing that was special about what we are now. I think, you know, we got influenced by different things than metal. We open our ears and try to figure out what would be the craziest thing to do and the most, you know, something different than others. And so after the first album, we realized that we were really different because we saw the review. Some reviews were really bad, you know. It's like we were qualified as the worst band on earth and stuff like that. But we were so happy because somehow, you know, people picked up that record because of that. And we didn't have any budget too, you know. It was really low, yeah. And so yeah, and so it kind of followed us, you know, with our career. That thing, that edge, that different edge, you know. Especially with Piggy's playing, he had this 3-tone guitar chords. Only him could do that sort of thing, and so it brought something different in the metal scene, I guess. Piggy brought something different to the metal scene, that's for sure. And you know, we keep doing it for, you know, in order to honor him somehow.
One of the big frustrations I've always had throughout the decades is the fact that, as you mentioned, from the beginning, Voivod was separate from what was going on at that time, creatively, musically, and definitely where you ventured off after that. What was frustrating for a dedicated fan like myself, and also now 30-something years later, just someone who is a music fan, is the fact that the band always seemed to get such criticism for each and every venture, creative adventure that you would go on. Yet the heavy criticism always seemed to dissipate once the product was out, once the music was out, because regardless of whatever direction you were going in a creative way, at the end of the day, it always had the Voivod seal, the what I would say foundation. My question to you is did it bother you getting you know, all this heat, all this slack for each and every creative venture that you went on? Because every album in itself is iconic yet completely different.
Well, we don't, you know, some bands, when they found the winning formula,
Safe chemistry.
yeah, the safe chemistry, they stick with it.
Yeah,
and
the selling point.
yeah, sort of things. But we never really tried, you know, we always try to do something different, or different but same at the same time. We got our own thing, you know. So people would say, oh, it's different, but it's still Voivod. And that is kind of still a mystery for me to explain this. Obviously, when we do something different all the time, people always say, oh, I like this better, and whatever, you know, what's, you know, choices in music and, you know, your preference, or it's different for everybody. I mean, the thing is, the kids and the fans, you know, they know the difference, you know, and I think our fans are really loyal.
Very loyal.
And I'm sure if we go like for the mainstream thing, they would be pissed off, you know. They want that Voivod kind of creator or whatever that we try to do, like, you know, on different albums. I mean, there's always something different. And they're all excited. I can tell, you know, people sometimes, oh, the new Voivod's coming, and I'm all excited, and it's like, I can't wait, and there's a need for it somehow, you know, and you can tell that these people, those fans, are really music lovers and are really devoted for music in general, you know, let's say. And I guess we gave them what they want all the time, and it's, you know.
One of the interesting things for me, aside from the music, is just the creativity that you have created for your listeners and your fan base to explore. Be that as it may, here we are, 2016, a whole new generation of Voivod fans who have this immense catalog to go on to whatever journey they want to, whether it's War and Pain or The Dimensions or what have you. Talk to me about Post Society. What is it that you're trying to relay to your audiences, new and old, on this EP?
Well, I guess it's you know, like, I don't want to be pessimist, but I see
comes with the territory.
I see the world, you know, as it goes. You know, I try to think that, okay, you know, we'll have a future. Humanity will have a future, but there's always a little voice inside of me that says, no, we're not gonna make it. We're doomed. We're fucked. We're whatever. And post-society is about that little, you know, that kind of future that it's just ahead of us. You know, what kind of
Frightening, isn't it?
yeah, it's because it could be, we could turn in a good way. We have the possibility to turn in a good way, but obviously, as you know, we all know human beings are, the human being itself is outreach for more power and more this and more that.
Creative. It's a very creative creature.
Yeah, and it's
Worldwide.
Yeah, and so it's almost like a, not, you know, I reflect the society in the future. Is it going to be like super modern and super clean and super this and that, or is it going to be like, you know, $100 for a bottle of water, you know, and people die in the street and only the rich people will make it, or, you know, it's at large. But I mean, and post society is a kind of reflection about this. The song itself, it's a little bit kind of Mad Max references in it, but and also We Are Connected. It's a song which is more related about a tragic death that happened when we did the Horror Fest a few years ago. And there was this guy who actually was the main guy behind the festival, and he worked really hard for 4 days in a row, like not having any sleep. His name was Michel. So we end up like finishing the festival and taking our plane home, and
Heart attack.
he died, and you know, it was weird. And so we were taking the plane, and as we were taking off, you know, I start thinking about that song.
It inspired you.
Yeah.
Mortality.
Yeah, and Fall is more about when the winter's coming and the fall season. But I mean, the whole process of dying, you know, or getting, you know, it's getting cold outside, and you know, in Canada we're kind of like, okay, fall is coming, winter's coming. Get inside your home, and then fun is over or something. There is a kind of mood of. But actually, when I'm doing songs, you know, I refer a lot about, you know, from the music itself. You know, I never do a text and then give it to the guys and say, hey, do music about this. It's much more like the opposite. I get influenced by the music, and then because, you know, singing or talking at large, it's music itself. It's notes, you know. Yeah. And if you want, if there's a, you know, a section of the music that is punching, like bam bam, it's more like, okay, it's aggressive. It's time to shout, you know, the whole anger in you, and so the tone of your voice will change because of that part of music. If it's more like, you know, spacey or whatever, I'll write a text about something more going this way. I follow the music all the time.
But you know what the beauty of that is you still have the band dynamic creatively. Yeah. You're still organically still tight and united, and I think that's why it resonates on this EP.
Yeah, I mean, the new blood in the band, Rocky and Chewy, they bring a lot to the new lineup of the band. It's
unison.
The unison of it. Rocky Stone is huge, you know, and Chewy's guitar is out there.
I can see when you're discussing the band unit, I can see that you still have that. I can see that you still have that excitement. Not only the joy, but you're excited still, like back 30-something years ago, which means all motors are running again.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which is good for us.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I enjoy doing this, and I feel really lucky doing this still. You know, because many bands have different stories. It's really hard to keep going and keep going, and you know, I feel lucky to travel the world and meet my fans everywhere, and you know, it's a special kind of life, you know, doing this, and I feel really lucky.
Post Society is out now. Voivod is on tour throughout the United States. Make sure you get out. Final statement. You're in America.
See you there.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Away from Voivod, and you're watching Impact Channel.
Hello everyone, our guest today is Away from Voivod. Hey,
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
So how are you? How is the tour with Earthship?
So far it's really great, very well attended, which is super for us, and tons of fun, and yeah, a lot of tourism in Rome and Pula, and I mean, it's what I love to do is to travel and play music, and that's why I can't stop. I've been doing that for 34 years now.
And we are glad you're here.
I'm really glad to be here.
You released an EP last year called Post Society. Are you happy with the reactions?
Yeah, all the critics were really good, and reviews, I mean, and the people who love Voivod really dig it, and they seem to think it's a return to form, and we wrote a new album. It's in the same vein, like a continuation, but a little more progressive thrash, complicated, yeah.
Mm-hmm. This year we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of Killing Technology, and next year is going to be the 30th anniversary of Dimension Hatros. Have you thought about playing one of your classic records in its entirety?
We were asked to do that this year, and we are asked to do that next year for Dimension Hatros, but it's not something we are really into doing unless it's a festival. But on tour we prefer to sort of play greatest hits of Voivod. We think it's more festive, and Dimension Hatros can be a bit serious, and so we're thinking about it, but we kind of prefer to do an overview of our career usually.
Your band is one of the most influential bands from the 80s, really appreciated by the musicians and the fans too. If you could pick the bands and the artists for a Voivod tribute album, who would you like to hear to cover your songs?
Wow, that's a tough one. I mean, probably like Vector, Meshuggah, bands that I consider children of Voivod, although they might not be influenced by Voivod, or they are influenced but not directly, or but yeah, there are quite a few bands nowadays that try to play sci-fi trash, and it could be interesting to have a tribute to Voivod. Yeah.
And beside the music, the artwork is really special too. In case of Voivod, what does art mean to you?
It's like an escape from reality. It's strange because my art was always, to me, an escape from this planet, which I consider pretty scary. But then it's a reflection of this planet. So it's like, it's an escape, but it's not, because I always end up expressing my fears about this planet. So so it's sort of an expression of my worries.
If there were no limits at all, how would you imagine the dream Voivod gig?
Well, 2 days ago we were in Pula, Croatia, and we went to the amphitheater. I think it's 3,000 years old or something.
Wow.
And they have concerts there, like Massive Attack or Manic, and it'd be amazing to have a thrash metal festival there. Yeah.
If your music was a soundtrack for a movie or for an art exhibition, how do you imagine that?
Art exhibition might have something to do with cyberpunk, maybe. For a movie, let's say, it would have been really great to have Voivod do the music for the new Blade Runner, because it's made by a person from Montreal that is very well known there, and it would have been really great.
I was about to say that one too. And would you compose a soundtrack if you had the chance?
Oh yeah. We tried many times to approach people regarding that, but it's so far the only thing we had was an introduction. The first part of the movie, Heavy Metal 2, is a Voivod song, Ion, and that's all we got so far. Although there might be some Voivod songs on movies that I don't know of.
If someone gave you an unfilled check and say, alright, now you can create your own movie or your own TV series to make the Voivod universe to come true, who would you like to pick for that movie? Which director? Which actor?
Oh. You mean like a movie with real actors?
Yes, to create the Voivod universe on the screen.
Wow, that's a tough one. I really like the guy who does Hellboy. Yeah, and it's a cool actor. That's a tough question. Somebody like Ridley Scott could do something cool with us. Maybe David Lynch, I don't know.
If you were a part of an alien race, an intelligent alien race, what would you think about mankind?
Oh. It's hard because all of my life I struggled with burning of witches and war, nuclear weapons, and what is astonishing to me is the way we are killing each other. So I would probably be pretty disappointed with that aspect of humanity, is we tend to kill each other a lot, which I don't understand.
Yeah, so possibly the aliens would think that we are kind of an inferior race that cannot handle any struggles or anything, just kill each other for no reasons like religions and stuff.
Yeah, I guess if they don't want to intervene, they probably come here to watch the show and wait for the end.
Like in South Park?
Yeah.
If you should represent humanity with any kind of piece of art to an alien race, what would you pick for that?
Maybe Leonardo da Vinci, the human with the proportion in a circle.
All right.
Maybe this. I don't know. It's a real interesting question.
Do you think that legends and mythologies and religious stories contain some truth about our creation?
Yeah. During the Anger Rat days, I studied mythology from all the countries, and I realized that they are the same stories all over the planet, but with different animals, and so I realized that there is an original manuscript somewhere, maybe in Iraq, I don't know, but with all of these folk tales that are actually a depiction of reality from the origin of mankind, from folk tales to the Bible to scrolls, and I realize it's actually connected. Yeah. Like same as what people say about pyramids all over the planet and all that. Yeah.
Have you read any book from Zecharia Sitchin?
He's the one who got me to think that the 12th planet is where I realized that there is an original manuscript somewhere that started the whole mythology of mankind. Yeah.
Some people think that certain alien races are already here on Earth and the truth will be disclosed very soon. What do you think about that theory?
Oh, I don't really believe in disclosure, but I believe that I definitely believe in flying saucers. they're being made somewhere. They exist. As for extraterrestrial, I think it's more, in my opinion, about other dimensions than other planets. Interdimensional beings, I think, is more logical to me, and of course now with quantum physics, and they're starting to figure out multi-dimensional scenarios, and so it's quite an interesting topic. Yeah.
If you could pick any planet or moon to just travel around, where would you like to go? Which planet, which moon?
Oh, I would probably try to go on Phobos to see why it doesn't have a normal orbit. If it has been manufactured, or if it's a real moon. That's something I would like to try.
People say it's gonna crash into Mars.
Yes, it will. Yeah, eventually.
What do you think about religions, by the way?
I always had a real problem with it, and especially nowadays, because people do kill each other because of that. And I personally am more of the amoebics type of point of view. No God, no master, so I've seen some documentaries where religion is very important for people to survive and keep going, and not give up, or for some people religion is very important to move ahead in life. But for me, I never felt the necessity of believing in any religion at all. Yeah.
If you could meet an alien, an intelligent alien, or the creator itself, what would you like to ask?
I would probably ask why the state of this planet is. The planet is in such beautiful state with pollution and war, and I would probably ask why. Is it an experiment, or or is it an evolutionary test, or I would probably have a lot of questions regarding what's wrong, because it's getting worse every year. So all of the fears we had in the 80s are still there today, and it's mainly the destruction of this planet. Like the pollution and high-tech weaponry is it's the same worry. It's like a recurring nightmare. And we used to talk about Chernobyl. Now we talk about Fukushima. We used to talk about the ozone layer. Now we talk about global warming, and so on and so on. So I would probably ask a few questions about that.
Are you interested in politics? Do you vote?
I'm interested in politics, but we don't talk about it directly in Voivod. It is there. There is a political content, but it's expressed through sci-fi folktales rather than naming politicians and stuff. But it is a position we take about what's going on Earth. In our lyrics, but it's not political like bands that I listen to, like Crass or Conflict, or it's not that political. But there are many bands that I admire that get their messages through the same type of imagery, like Rush or Magma, or when you dig a little deeper, you realize these are like important messages. Yeah.
Some of the fans say that politics has no room in metal music. What do you think about that?
It's not true, especially in thrash metal, which was influenced by hardcore a lot. And back in the days, most thrash metal bands talked about nuclear weapons, and that was our way of expressing our anger and it's angry music, but at the end of the day, it's a rock and roll show, and so I understand that people want to have fun, but if some people want to talk about important subjects, it's okay, you know.
And what was your first drum kit?
Drum kit was a Sonor. I bought it in Quebec, but it was from Germany, and it looked like the Ringo Starr drum kit, which I really like.
What was the first song you ever learned to play on drums?
First song was Honky Tonk Woman by the Stones, and I had a hard time playing it.
What was your first show as a musician?
Oh, first show was I was really young. It was my first gig. I was probably around 14, and it was for a band called the Mustangs, and it was for a wedding. And we played Beatles and Elvis Presley medley.
Cool. What's the meaning of life?
I don't know what the meaning of life is, but I don't know if it's connected or anything, but for me, I have only one way of living, is live and let live. I guess everybody has his own meaning of life, and if you don't agree with it, there's not much you can do. For us, it's to make people realize certain things about life. It's our meaning of life, is to try to talk about things that we think will make people change a bit for the better. But it's a long shot, and I know that as an artist, there's a limit to what you can do. But at least we have an outlet to talk about the things that worry us, and we think that the people listening to Voivod have the same worries after a while, and might try to work into changing things a little, make the planet a bit more peaceful. Hopefully. It's I don't know if it's working, but yeah, it's all about peace to us.
What are your plans with Voivod in the near future?
Well, this year we came to Europe twice, but we didn't go to USA. We spent the first 6 months of the year recording an album. So as soon as we get back home at the end of October, we start recording actually in the beginning of November, and so that's our plan for the rest of the year, to record the new album. It's a concept album, very intricate. Yeah. Snake is still writing the lyrics in the bus. Right, we are finishing we're like making demos and templates on the bus right now, and trying to get ready for the studio. And Snake is still writing the lyrics, so I can't. We don't have a title for the songs. We only have working titles, but the music is ready, which is a good part. Yeah.
Music-wise, what can we expect?
It's very progressive thrash, a lot of psychedelia as well. The songs are pretty long. There is only one short rocker. All the rest is progressive music.
Great.
Yeah, kind of a continuation of Post Society in a way. Yeah.
Any last words to your fans?
Yeah, I just can. I mean, there's nothing I can do except for thanking them for being so supportive and loyal all through the 34 years I've been in the band. They are really the reason that keeps me going. It's a wonderful experience.
Thank you for the interview.
Thank you very much. Cheers.